This time around, I cut ties with everyone and everything connected to Chloe. I blocked her on everything and took my college acceptance letter overseas. For the past few years, the goal was to stay on opposite sides of the planet. I was abroad, Chloe was in the States. Any news about her I ignored. When she was on break, I had class. When I was on break, she was in school. She worked in the US, I worked abroad. In my past life, I gave up a scholarship to a university abroad for Chloe. I gave up my career to be a house husband for her. I loved her for 30 years, my entire life, and she took it all for granted and threw it away. The day I died in a car crash, she was ecstatically getting married to another man. She was a user, always chasing what she couldn't have and tossing aside what she got. I wasn't going to live that life again. Watching the crowds flow through the airport, I pushed my suitcase along. My plan was to handle my mother's funeral and then say goodbye to this place for good. I hailed a cab and looked out at the city that no longer felt familiar. I'd lived here for over a decade, but I'd been gone for 6 years, and in that time, I hadn't paid any attention to what happened here. If there had been anyone else to handle my mother's funeral, I wouldn't have come back. When I arrived at Maple Creek, I pushed my single suitcase into the home I hadn't set foot in for 6 years. Everything looked the same. My mother died of cancer. In her final days, she called me more than once, begging me to come back, but I ignored her. Other than sending money for her living expenses and covering all her medical bills when she was bedridden, I did nothing else. I figured I'd done more than enough. When my mother was young, she was wild. She couldn't be tied down and she lived for herself. The pressure and burden of life fell entirely on my father, who worked himself to an early grave before he even hit 40. She never raised me when she was young, so when she was old, I just fulfilled my basic duty. A simple repayment for the gift of life. I watched as she was cremated at the funeral home. I was pretty much the only one there to handle things. She never took responsibility in life, so it was no surprise no one came to see her off in death. Otherwise, why would I have had to come all the way back to deal with her arrangements? I placed the urn in the niche, left a bouquet of flowers and some fruit, and that was it. I wouldn't be back. This was the one and only thing I'd ever give her. Leo, you finally decided to come back? Did you know that in the end, your mom just wanted to see you one last time, but she couldn't? How could you be so cruel? Chloe stood in the cemetery, dressed in a long, black overcoat. I glanced at her but couldn't be bothered to respond. She's always like this, thinking I should revolve around her, that I can't live without her. That's why she could brush me off and criticize me without a second thought. But I wasn't going to put up with it anymore. As I walked past her, Chloe grabbed my arm. Leo, are you still mad? It's been 6 years. You left the country without a word and cut off contact with everyone. I couldn't find you no matter how hard I tried. Do you have any idea how many times I flew overseas looking for you? I looked at her calmly. See? She's still the same, acting like she's the deeply devoted one. She could get drunk and wait for me outside my apartment after I left. She could search for me like a madwoman, and everyone around us would think she was crazy in love with me while I was the cold, heartless one. But who knew that she was the one who broke up with me? That she was the one getting way too close to Ethan? I was just giving her what she wanted. What right did she have to question me? In my past life, she always used the excuse that Ethan's family had been good to her to demand that I tolerate his behavior. She said she just saw him as a little brother, so what was wrong with being a little protective? Why was I so petty? The old me was stupid enough to believe her and put up with it. And what did I get in return? Her announcing she was marrying Ethan because he'd gotten hurt for her, and she had to take responsibility. Why aren't you saying anything? Leo, why did you just leave the country without a word? Chloe was still demanding an answer. I shook her hand off, my voice cold. What's it to you? Don't you know how hard I looked for you? Chloe actually had the nerve to say that. I laughed and rolled my eyes. Chloe, you were the one who broke up with me. I was the one who saw you kissing Ethan with my own 2 eyes. I was just granting your wish. What right do you have to come here and grill me? Chloe's brow furrowed. Is that why you're mad? I was just impulsive back then. I said it in a fit of anger. It was your fault for constantly going on about me and Ethan. I just wanted to piss you off. And I already explained it to you. I only kissed Ethan because we were playing a game at a class reunion. I pique da dare. It was just a game. I couldn't let him lose face. Could I? She said it all with such self-righteous conviction. I couldn't believe that even after 6 years, she still didn't think she'd done anything wrong. Suddenly, I felt like a complete idiot for how my past life had turned out, all because of a person like her. I didn't look at her again. With a sarcastic laugh, I turned and walked out of the cemetery. She seemed stunned that I would just leave, standing there frozen as she watched my taxi drive away. Back at the apartment, I thought about all the things I still needed to take care of. I had no family left in the country. The apartment and my mother's remaining affairs all had to be settled. It would probably take another 2 weeks. Thankfully, I could do my job remotely. For now, I'd have to stay in the old place. I tidied up, throwing out anything I didn't need. After I was done cleaning, I planned to go out and find a realtor to list the apartment for sale. I had just walked out of the realtor's office when I saw Chloe. She was like a ghost I couldn't shake. "Leo, what is it you want? It's been 6 years, aren't you over it yet? If I really wanted to be with Ethan, we would have gotten together years ago. But I didn't. I've always loved you," Chloe said as soon as she saw me, repeating the same old lines. I was getting seriously tired of it. "Chloe, we broke up a long time ago. I have nothing to say to you." I tried to walk past her and head home. Chloe followed close behind me. "Stop acting like this." "Fine, if you're still mad. I promise you, I won't hang out with Ethan so much anymore." "Chloe, are you nuts? What makes you think I'd ever get back together with you?" I didn't want to make a scene with her on the street, so I walked faster. "Chloe?" A familiar voice called out. I turned my head. Perfect timing. It was one of Chloe's best friends. In my past life, whenever I argued with Chloe about Ethan, this girl was always there, calling me petty and saying Ethan was just like a little brother to Chloe. When she saw me, she looked like she couldn't believe her eyes. After a moment, she finally confirmed it was me. "Leo, you're back? You finally decided to come home? Do you have any idea how Chloe has been going crazy looking for you? How could you just abandon her and leave the country like that?" Seeing me, she immediately started defending Chloe. I rolled my eyes. "And what business is it of yours? You?" She seemed so flustered by my comeback that her face turned red, shocked that I would dare speak to her that way. Of course, in my past life, I was always trying to please Chloe's friends for her sake. No matter what they said to me, I was always careful and submissive, trying to win over everyone in her circle. In the end, it got me nothing. And after Chloe has been so devoted to you, this is how you treat her? For the past 6 years, she hasn't been able to forget you. She's been miserable. Now you're finally back, and you're still treating her like this?" she said, pointing at me while Chloe just stood there and watched. "Whatever. For Chloe's sake, I won't say anything harsh. Just apologize to her. With how much she loves you, she won't hold a grudge. We're just looking out for her, and for her, I'll drop it." Chloe's friend was just as shameless as she was. What on earth made her think I was going to apologize to Chloe? "Are you done?" I asked, looking at her calmly. "What makes you think I'm going to apologize to Chloe? We broke up a long time ago." I looked at Chloe. "Listen up. And when you go back, make it clear to your little clique of so-called friends. You were the one who broke up with me, and I saw you kissing Ethan with my own eyes. Why should I pretend nothing happened? You can't just do whatever you want. The world doesn't revolve around you. And one more thing," I added. "If you let your friend point her finger at me again, next time I'll break it." Cut the drama. I turned and walked away. Chloe seemed shocked that I would air all of this out in public. She stood there, stunned, as her friend watched me leave. "Chloe, what is he talking about? You broke up with him? And what's this about you kissing Ethan?" Chloe's face darkened. She never thought I would spell everything out so clearly. She probably assumed I'd be like my old self, blaming myself for everything even when it wasn't my fault, never explaining anything just to protect her, and letting everyone misunderstand me. Chloe ignored her friend's questions and hurried in the direction I had gone. I went to the supermarket to pick up some daily necessities, then grabbed dinner before heading home. From a distance, I saw someone sitting by the flower beds downstairs. Who else could it be but Chloe? She looked drunk. I pretended not to see her and walked past. But when she saw me, she grabbed onto me like a madwoman. Why? Yes, I was the one who broke up with you. But I told you I was just angry. Why did you have to tell my friends? Do you hate me that much? I pried her hands off me. Why wouldn't I say it? You think I'm still going to let everyone misunderstand me like before? It was your fault, but you pushed the blame onto me and let everyone think I was the bad guy without ever clearing my name. I was a fool then, but do you think I'm still a fool now? Chloe, stop pretending to be so devoted. You've probably started to believe your own act. Haven't you? What kind of girlfriend kisses another guy for a game? You were the one who broke up with me. Why are you afraid to admit it? You're just a selfish person. Now get lost and don't ever show your face in front of me again. I grabbed my bags and started to head upstairs, but she wrapped her arms around me tightly from behind. I rolled my eyes, lifted my foot, and stomped down hard on hers. Then I wrenched myself free and shoved her away. Chloe wasn't expecting my strength and stumbled, falling hard onto the ground, where she curled up in pain. For some reason, I thought of Vivian, the one who taught me self-defense. I wondered if she was back from her business trip yet. I'd returned in such a hurry that I didn't get to see her before she left, though we did talk on the phone. I didn't spare another glance for Chloe, who was still on the ground, struggling to get up. I buzzed myself into the building and went upstairs. After that night, Chloe didn't show up for 2 days. Just when I thought I was finally free of her, Ethan appeared. I never thought I'd be sitting face to face with him one day. I took a sip of my coffee, the chill in my bones slowly fading. My mind drifted back to my past life. Ethan claimed to be Chloe's little brother, but his actions went far beyond that. When Chloe was still my girlfriend, every time we went on a date, he would call her with some excuse to make her abandon me. It was always a sprained ankle or a stomach ache. He even called her once because he burned something on the stove. And Chloe fell for it every single time, ditching me for his ridiculous reasons, only to come back later with red-rimmed eyes and an apology. And me? I was an idiot back then, swallowing my anger every time for Chloe's sake. It only made him bolder. He would provoke me behind Chloe's back, sending me suggestive pictures of them together. When I confronted Chloe, she would just tiredly say she was only taking care of Ethan, that he was like a brother to her. How laughable. A brother. Later, after I married Chloe, I was at home slaving away, doing her laundry and cooking for her, while she would leave me alone with a table full of food to go cook for Ethan. She said Ethan had a sensitive stomach. It got to the point where she started bringing him home for me to cook for every day. If I asked Ethan to wash a single dish, she'd get upset and snatch it away to wash it herself. Afterward, she'd scold me, saying Ethan was a guest and how could I make him wash dishes. Looking back now, I just want to slap my past self. I looked up at Ethan. It seemed my time back in the country wouldn't be without its share of entertainment. Spit it out. I don't have time to sit here and drink coffee with you. Leo, man, you came back and didn't even say anything. I would have had Chloe come pick you up, Ethan said, still putting on that fake, earnest act. Your precious Chloe isn't here, so you can cut the crap. Say what you have to say. I don't think we're on terms to be sitting here having a chat. I couldn't help but roll my eyes. My words pierced through his carefully constructed facade. His face turned pale, then flushed. Leo, I really didn't mean for it to happen back then. Chloe and I were just playing a game. She was afraid I'd lose face. That's why she kissed me. I didn't think you'd see. Suddenly, Ethan's eyes reddened, and his voice choked up. Leo, please forgive Chloe. It's not what you think between us. She's in so much pain right now. Please just forgive her. I watched his performance with cold eyes. I had to admit, his acting was as good as ever. He could turn it on in an instant. Is that all you have to say? Then I'm out of here. As I stood up to leave, Ethan grabbed my arm, looking like he was about to burst into tears. Anyone who didn't know better would have thought I was abandoning him. Leo, please go see Chloe. She's been miserable looking for you all these years. All she does is look for you and work. She has to drink for work, and she drinks when she misses you. Her stomach is a mess. She came to find you the other night, and you pushed her down. She's in the hospital right now. Please go see her. She said she won't take her medicine until she sees you. Just how blind was I in my past life to have tolerated these two idiots parading around in front of me time and time again? What does her being in the hospital have to do with me? I'm not the one who wrecked her stomach. And if she doesn't want to take her medicine, she should just check out and stop wasting public resources. Whether she lives or dies has nothing to do with me. I glanced at my empty coffee cup, picked up my bag, and walked out of the cafe. Ethan chased after me, shouting, "Leo, how can you be so heartless? Chloe loves you so much. Why can't you just forgive her?" People on the street heard him and, seeing his pathetic act, started pointing and whispering about me. I crossed my arms and watched his righteous performance with a sneer. "Oh, you're right. I'm not that generous. I can't forgive a cheater who kisses other guys. And if you feel so bad for your dear Chloe, go be with her. I don't want her sloppy seconds. Why do you keep chasing me, begging me to forgive her? Are you stupid? I'm 6'1", a good head taller than Ethan, who's about 5'7". I looked down at him. Also, we broke up 6 years ago. You two, her dear brother and his sister, have been sneaking around behind my back. If you're so open-minded that you can live happily in a threesome, that's your business, but I'm not interested." I threw my hands up and looked at him playfully. The onlookers who had been enjoying the show immediately turned on Ethan. They started pointing at him, and some even started yelling at him for being shameless enough to come to me, the ex-boyfriend. A few people even surrounded him to block his way, telling me to hurry up and leave. I gave them a grateful look, glanced at Ethan, who was trapped in the middle of the crowd with a beet red face, and walked away. Ethan was furious. He definitely didn't expect the guy who always swallowed his anger to expose his lies and act in public. And he was right. The old me would have endured the misunderstanding for the sake of Chloe's so-called dignity. But not anymore. With this second chance, I was going to completely break free from my past life. Leaving the realtor's office, I felt a wave of frustration. The old apartment was proving difficult to sell. It had been on the market for days with no takers. Most of my mother's affairs were settled, but this apartment, probably because of its less than ideal location and lack of an elevator, was going to be a tough sell. After Ethan's little stunt, I hadn't bothered to keep up with what happened to them. As I was walking back, my phone rang. I looked down and saw it was Vivian. "Hey, Vivian? Yeah, it's me. How are things going over there?" Vivian's cool, pleasant voice came through the phone. "Pretty much wrapped up. It's just this old apartment that might take a while to sell," I said with a sigh. I wasn't expecting to get much for it anyway. "Okay, I'm finishing things up here. I'll be back to see you in a few days," Vivian said after a pause, a light laugh in her voice. I was a little confused. "You're coming back to the States?" "Yep. Wait for me." Vivian didn't elaborate, and I didn't feel right pressing her. I just assumed she had business to attend to back home. I met Vivian in college when I was studying abroad. She was about to graduate at the time. We got to know each other after being paired up for a school competition. Over the years, Vivian has looked out for me a lot, and we've stayed good friends. I had no idea what was bringing her back to the country this time. "Okay, let me know when you land. I'll pick you up from the airport." Just as I was about to hang up, Chloe, who had been missing for a few days, reappeared. "Leo." She looked haggard and her hair was a mess, a far cry from the polished woman she'd been a few days ago. "Leo? Is someone calling you?" Vivian heard her from the other end of the line. I ignored Chloe and just grunted a yeah into the phone. "Okay, I'll talk to you later. I got something to deal with. Text me when you're on your way. Bye." "Wait for me, Leo," Vivian's voice came through, sounding a little down, but I didn't have time to think about it. "What do you want now? Haven't you been annoying enough? Why was Chloe so relentless? When I actually loved her in my past life, she never seemed to appreciate it." Chloe's eyes were bloodshot, as if she hadn't slept in days. Her voice was hoarse. "Leo, what do I have to do for you to forgive me? Why won't you believe me no matter what I do or how I explain it? What will it take for you to stop being angry?" I suddenly found it hilarious. Did Chloe really think I was just throwing a tantrum? Who holds a grudge for 6 years? She was insane. I walked past her, not wanting to get into another pointless argument. Why won't you believe me? I told you there's nothing between me and Ethan. I just see him as a little brother. His family was good to me, so I just look out for him a little more. What's wrong with that? Do you have to be so petty about everything? Chloe screamed, her usual gentle demeanor gone. Chloe, don't be like this. I'm sorry, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have let Leo misunderstand. I don't know when Ethan showed up. My head started to ache. These people were so clingy and self-righteous. Without a second thought, Chloe turned to comfort Ethan. It's not your fault, Ethan. There's nothing like that between us. What right does Leo have to misunderstand? Our consciences are clear. Chloe, it is my fault. I'm sorry. I didn't know Leo cared so much. I'll stay away from you from now on. Ethan started with his pathetic, sympathy-seeking act again. Chloe looked at me, furious. She never thought she was wrong, it was always someone else's fault. She saw herself as gentle, generous, and elegant. But in reality, she was just a selfish and cold person. Chloe took it for granted that I should revolve around her. That's why, even after I disappeared for 6 years, she just thought I was sulking. She thought a little coaxing and an apology would be enough to win me back. Suddenly, it all felt so pointless. The unresolved anger from my past life, the painful escape and 6 years of healing after my rebirth. It all seemed meaningless. Maybe it was time to let go. The obsessions that haunted my death, the healing in this new life, anything and everything related to Chloe needed to be put behind me. Chloe, is this really necessary? I suddenly feel like this is all so pointless. Seriously, let's just drop the act. Who are you putting on this life or death drama for? I laughed, feeling like it was time to cut all ties and start my life over. If you two can't let it go, if you still think I'm the same pathetic, easy to manipulate Leo from before, you're wrong. Since you won't leave me alone, let's just lay all our grievances out on the table, loud and clear, and then go our separate ways. I don't have time to play along with your drama tonight. Tomorrow, 2 o'clock in the afternoon at the Grove. I'll be waiting for you. I left the two of them standing there, stunned, and went upstairs. They had completely ruined my evening. Chloe and Ethan really were two of a kind. Their dramatic act was so polished it could make everyone around them praise their deep love while I was painted as the ungrateful jerk. Since I planned to settle all scores, I figured I should gather everyone involved. I'd deal with it all tomorrow afternoon and put an end to this constant headache. Besides Ethan, the only other people who knew about my relationship with Chloe back then were her best friend, her cousin, and my friend, Jax. He was the only one who believed I would never do something like that. I had kept in touch with Jax over the past 6 years. I sent out invitations one by one to everyone who knew the situation but had misunderstood me. Then, I opened my laptop and clicked on a long sealed file. The next day at 2 p.m., I went to the Grove with the materials I had prepared. I arrived a little late on purpose. When I got there, everyone else had already arrived. I sat down across from all of them, sizing up the faces I hadn't seen in 6 years. When they saw me, their self-righteous anger from the other day was gone, replaced by a certain awkwardness. Chloe sat in silence, just staring at me. Leo, you're back. Why didn't you give us a heads up? If it weren't for your sudden invitation, we wouldn't have known you were in town. Chloe's cousin smiled, her eyes darting between me and Chloe. It's good that you're back. Just don't go leaving the country without a word again. You have no idea how hard Chloe looked for you. She was going crazy. I didn't say anything. She coughed and continued, you're not leaving again this time, right? There's nothing you can't get past. Come on, just apologize to Chloe. She loves you so much. She's been thinking about you constantly. She wouldn't have the heart to stay mad at you. I just smiled and watched them, just as I thought. Everyone believed I was the one who abandoned Chloe, that I was the one who threw a tantrum, ghosted everyone, and ran off to another country. I turned to look at Chloe. She was really good at keeping quiet. Wasn't it the same in my past life? She let her friends and everyone around her think it was my fault. She herself never explained or admitted anything. She would wait for everyone else to smooth things over for her, to convince me to apologize and sweet-talk her, and then she would swoop in and play the magnanimous one. It made everyone around her think Chloe was madly in love with me, that she was so generous and forgiving for my sake. She really committed to that deeply in love, good person persona. Her cousin coughed a few more times, trying to ease the tense atmosphere. Hey, let's not fight. We're all friends here. Let's not hurt our relationship. Leo, stop being mad at Chloe. Cherish what you have. Cherish it? What's there to cherish? She acts like a saint in front of you all, pretending to be so devoted. But behind your backs, she's hooking up with her precious little brother. And she has the nerve to say she's crazy about me, I said with disgust. Ethan couldn't take it anymore. Leo, I told you it's not what you think between me and Chloe. We really are just like brother and sister. I was tired of his excuses. I took out an envelope and pulled out a stack of photos, the provocative messages Ethan had sent me 6 years ago, pictures of him and Chloe in suggestive poses, and the photo of them kissing. I tossed the photos onto the table. At first, they were confused, but as they looked closer, their faces flushed with embarrassment. See? They all knew the content of those photos went far beyond a brother-sister relationship. No one could look at them and pretend there was nothing going on. Chloe's face was grim. Ethan clearly hadn't expected me to have kept this stuff, let alone print it out and bring it up in public. His face went pale, his lips trembling as he tried to think of what to say, or rather, how to defend himself. Chloe, today, in front of everyone, do you dare to admit that 6 years ago you were the one who broke up with me? I was completely calm. I just looked at Chloe's dark expression. 6 years ago, you broke up with me out of the blue. I called you hundreds of times and you didn't answer. I went to your apartment, but you were gone on a business trip. You were the one who broke up with me, and you were the one who disappeared. What right do I have to not leave the country? We were already broken up when I left. How dare you say I abandoned you? 6 years ago, I had been arguing with Chloe for a week straight about her kissing Ethan. She got fed up with my nagging and broke up with me. Of course, I didn't want to. After the breakup, Chloe left on a business trip. I couldn't reach her, and she wasn't at her apartment. Dejected, I collapsed on the street and woke up to find I had been reborn. So I grabbed my acceptance letter and got on a plane out of the country. Chloe, how could you let everyone misunderstand me? You just stood there watching them blame and criticize me, all while pretending to be so devoted to my face. I crossed my arms, my eyes cold and calm. Today, you're gonna set the record straight in front of everyone. Chloe closed her eyes. She probably never expected me to call her out and expose her act like this. Yes, 6 years ago, I was the one who broke up with you. But I was just angry because you kept nagging me. I said it in a fit of rage. I didn't contact you because I just needed some space. I didn't think you'd take it seriously. I laughed out loud. Chloe, what makes you think I have to revolve around you? What makes you think I have to tolerate everything you do, no matter what? You breaking up with me was just a fit of anger, you kissing Ethan was just a game, and you disappearing was just you needing space. What makes you think I would just wait around for you? Am I that pathetic? Who do you think you are, to assume I'd wait for you forever? You did all of it, but I took all the blame. When they were all pointing their fingers at me and yelling, "Why didn't you stand up and admit what you did?" I pointed at her friends, then looked at Chloe. She looked like she wanted the ground to swallow her whole. I abandoned you? How ridiculous. You broke up with me and disappeared, and I just let you go. Then you come back from your business trip and put on this act of deep devotion, saying it was just words spoken in anger. Well, I was serious. I, Leo Davis, am not that desperate. I'm not going to be your lapdog. I went scorched earth on the whole table, and their faces burned with embarrassment. You, I said to her cousin, I respect you as her sister, but what gives you the right to tell me I have to put up with Chloe's crap? And you, I said to her friend, you had a lot to say before. Look at these pictures. What was that about Ethan being Chloe's little brother? Everyone at the table looked uncomfortable. When Ethan tried to say something else, I grabbed the photos from the table and threw them in his face. By sheer coincidence, the one that landed on him was the picture of him and Chloe kissing. Their expressions changed instantly. And you, I said to Ethan, stop playing the victim, crying at the drop of a hat. Who's bullying you? Whenever I was on a date with Chloe, you either had a sprained ankle or a stomach ache. You even called Chloe because you burned something on the stove. A little brother? What kind of brother has no shame and no boundaries? I was just doing you two a favor, letting you be together. So what's the problem? I gave you what you wanted, but you're still not happy? Why are you still chasing after me and bothering me? Are you both just gluttons for punishment? I finished my tirade and poured myself a cup of tea. The table was silent. They had never imagined this was the truth. All this time, they thought I was the one who had abandoned Chloe without a word and left the country. They thought I had unilaterally cut off contact with everyone. They had seen Chloe's frantic search for me after she returned from her business trip and thought she was deeply in love. They saw her stay single for 6 years and thought she was loyal, still hung up on me even after I had treated her so badly. But they never thought this was what really happened, that Chloe was the one who broke up with me, that she was the one who disappeared first. Thinking back on all the things they had said about me, their faces burned with shame. They couldn't bring themselves to defend Chloe anymore. But Jax, on the other hand, slapped Ethan right across the face. You shameless bastard. How dare you interfere in someone else's relationship and then have the nerve to ask for forgiveness? And you, Chloe, Jax said, to think I defended you. So you were the one who broke up with him? Some woman you are, blaming it all on the man. A cheater and a scumbag, you two really are a perfect match. Jax grabbed his bag, stood up, and walked over to me. After that, he left. I looked at the remaining people. This meal was a total bust. I'd have to find somewhere else to eat later. Chloe, Ethan, I've said my piece. From now on, please don't bother me again. Otherwise, I won't be so polite. As of today, we're even. We'll go our separate ways and never see each other again. Hearing this, Chloe shot up from her seat, the chair clattering to the floor behind her. Her cousin grabbed her arm, signaling for her to stop talking. It was clear from my words today that getting back together was impossible. I picked up my bag and walked out of the private room. Standing at the entrance of the Grove, I was about to call a cab when Chloe, her cousin, and the others came out. Apparently, none of them had an appetite either. Chloe hesitated, then approached me, her face pale. Leo, is there really no chance for us? Her friend stepped forward and pulled Chloe back. Chloe, just stop. You were in the wrong here. Let it go. Don't make it any uglier than it already is. When Ethan tried to step forward, the cousin blocked him. Don't make things worse, she said coldly, clearly no longer fond of him. She didn't want to get involved in Chloe's business anymore either. After being yelled at like that, especially when her side was in the wrong, her mood was sour. Chloe struggled against her friend's grip, about to say something more, when a pair of bright headlights swept across the group standing at the entrance, forcing them to squint. A Maybach pulled up in front of me. I was confused. The back door opened, and a woman in a beige trench coat, tall and elegant at about 5'9", stepped out, silhouetted against the light. She had a powerful presence, with exquisite features and stunning beauty that silenced everyone around her. When I recognized who it was, I was even more confused. Vivian, what are you doing here? You're back? Why didn't you tell me? I would have picked you up. Vivian stood before me. She was tall, and even though I was on the steps, I was only just looking down at her. She was certainly statuesque, easily matching Chloe, who was around 5'7". Her long, dark hair fell over her shoulders, and her usually cool, beautiful face was lit up with a warm smile. I just landed. It was a last-minute thing, so I didn't tell you ahead of time. I heard you were here, so I came over. She glanced at the group behind me and raised an eyebrow. Is your dinner over? Want me to give you a ride home? Perfect. I was tired of dealing with the clueless Chloe anyway. I nodded and got into Vivian's car. Leo, who is she? Chloe couldn't hold back any longer. She broke free from her friend and ran toward me. I ignored her and got into the car. Vivian blocked Chloe's path, her eyes narrowing as she looked at her. Ms. Liu, she said with a warning tone, I believe Leo has made himself perfectly clear. Please stop harassing him. Otherwise, I will have to consider taking further action. Vivian didn't even seem to register Chloe as a threat. Before getting into the car, she added, And you don't get to call him Leo anymore, Ms. Lu. All Chloe could do was watch as the car drove away, her eyes red, her face pale and ugly. Even her friend was fed up. Chloe, stop it. Leo made himself clear. Besides, you were the one who broke up with him. She trailed off, not bothering to finish, and just walked away. Her cousin shook her head, patted Chloe's shoulder, and left too. Only Chloe and Ethan remained at the entrance of the grove, their expressions grim. The sky gradually darkened, and the streetlights flickered on, their lights streaking across the car window. I was still a little surprised to see Vivian suddenly appear. I thought you said you had a few more days. Why are you here today? Vivian seemed to be in a good mood. Yeah, I pulled an all-nighter and got everything done, so I came today. So urgent? Was it something important that brought you back? I frowned, unable to think of what could be so pressing. But Vivian just chuckled. Yes, it was a very urgent matter. Then she changed the subject. Did you get enough to eat? I came straight here from the airport to pick you up. I haven't eaten yet. Vivian looked at me intently, and for a second, I thought I saw a hint of grievance in her eyes. I must have been mistaken. Actually, I haven't eaten either. Let's go together. Vivian and I went to get dinner. I was starving after leaving the grove, but after getting everything off my chest, the food tasted even better. After dinner, Vivian drove me home but lingered downstairs. I looked at the exhaustion on her face. You're not going home? She just looked at me and said, I don't have a place to stay. I looked at her skeptically, then glanced at the driver. You didn't book a hotel? Vivian said it as if it were the most natural thing in the world. There was only one room left at the nearby hotels, so I gave it to the driver. You can put me up for the night, can't you? You know what kind of person I am. I was still skeptical. There are no rooms left? I doubt it. It's not peak season. Vivian rubbed her temples, looking genuinely exhausted. Maybe I just didn't check enough places, but I pulled an all-nighter, and I'm really tired. I looked at her, thought about it, and finally agreed to let her stay for the night. As I watched the driver pull away, I still had my doubts. Here's a toothbrush and a towel. As for anything else, I don't have it. I haven't been back in 6 years, so I didn't bring much with me. I handed her a new toothbrush and towel I'd bought a few days ago. Good thing I had bought an extra set. Vivian took them. I brought my own. You go to bed. Don't worry about me. I watched her make herself at home and decided to just let it go. It had been a long, draining day. When I woke up and came out of my room, Vivian was already up. She saw me and her face lit up, her voice filled with a smile. Morning. I saw there was nothing in the house, so I went out and bought some breakfast. Go wash up and eat. I nodded numbly. It wasn't until the water hit my face that I finally woke up. What do you have going on today? Vivian asked, handing me a bowl of porridge and a steamed bun. I thought for a moment. There really wasn't much left to do, just the old apartment. I had to go back to the realtor today. Basically all done. I just have to go to the realtor's office today to check on the progress. Vivian nodded. I'll go with you. I looked at her, completely bewildered. Didn't you say you had urgent business to attend to? You don't have to come with me. Go do what you need to do. But Vivian suddenly looked me straight in the eye, something swirling in their depths. You are my urgent business, Leo. I was even more confused. Vivian usually called me Leo or by my full name. She rarely used my first name so intimately. Maybe she had just picked it up from hearing Chloe say it yesterday. How about this? I'll go with you to the realtor, and you come with me to Northwood High. I'll tell you everything then, Vivian said with a sudden seriousness. I looked at her expression and had no choice but to nod. Fortunately, there was finally some good news from the realtor. Someone was interested in buying the apartment. I heard it was a young guy who had been working hard in the city and had finally saved up enough to buy this small old place. I didn't ask for much more than the listing price. We agreed to have him view the apartment tomorrow, and if it went well, we could sign the contract. It was still early when we left the realtor's office, so Vivian and I decided to walk to Northwood High. It wasn't too far from here. After a quick chat with the security guard at the gate of Northwood High, he let us in. The school was on winter break, so he wasn't too strict, especially since both Vivian and I were alumni. I attended Northwood High, as did Chloe and Ethan. Ethan and I were in the same year, while Chloe was a year ahead of me. I was surprised to find out that Vivian had also graduated from Northwood. You graduated from Northwood too? I don't think you've ever mentioned it, I said, looking at Vivian. It felt like such a coincidence that we were alumni. So what year were you? I don't remember hearing about you. I mean, with your looks, you'd think there'd be some buzz, right? I was genuinely curious about Vivian's high school experience. Vivian looked out at the Northwood track, a hint of nostalgia in her eyes. I was class of '07. You were a freshman when I was a senior. Vivian looked at me and said, Leo, that school event abroad wasn't the first time I saw you. The first time I saw you was right here. You were running the 800-meter and I was the timekeeper. I was stunned, my eyes wide, but I still couldn't remember. Really? How come I have no memory of that? Vivian's lips curved into a slightly bitter smile. Back then, you only had eyes for Chloe. How could you have noticed me? I laughed awkwardly. She was right. That was before my rebirth. Of course, I only saw Chloe. I definitely wouldn't have noticed anyone else. Vivian suddenly stopped, her gaze intense and fiery. Leo, the first time I saw you here, I fell for you. But you had Chloe then. Now do I have a chance to stand by your side? My mind reeled from the sudden confession. I didn't know how to respond. This is a little sudden. Vivian placed her hands on my shoulders, making me look down at her. I can wait until you're ready. There's no rush. You can take your time to think about it. So, that's my urgent business. I needed you to know how I feel. I blinked, nodding numbly. Get away from him. Who are you? Chloe appeared out of nowhere, rushing over to pull me away from Vivian, but Vivian caught her by the wrist. Let go of me. Don't you touch Leo. Chloe struggled, looking ridiculous. She was shorter than me and rarely exercised, so she was no match for the seemingly delicate but surprisingly strong Vivian. Vivian scoffed and let go. Chloe, still struggling, lost her balance and fell to the ground. Vivian grabbed my hand. Let's go. But Chloe wasn't going to give up. She scrambled to her feet and rushed at us again. I was getting really tired of this. I stepped in front of Vivian. Haven't you had enough? Aren't you embarrassed? Chloe, let's just part on good terms, while I can still be civil with you. Vivian stood behind me, her voice dripping with sarcasm and coldness. Chloe, we're all adults here. Let's be graceful. Don't make this uglier than it has to be. Some people, once you lose them for good. No amount of regret will change that. Chloe looked like I had just hit a nerve. Her eyes red and her face twisted in anger. I looked at her, my words like daggers. Enough. What's the point, Chloe? My voice wasn't loud, but it made her flinch as if I'd slapped her. Her face went white. At that moment, I felt a weight lift from my chest. Across 2 lifetimes, that suppressed roar of anger was finally, completely released. We are never, ever getting back together. I don't hate you, and I don't love you anymore. We're even. If you continue to harass me and bother me, I won't hesitate to report you to the police. I knew myself. Chloe could no longer provoke any emotion in me. Chloe, the truth is, you don't love me. You only love yourself. You don't cherish what you have, and you can't stand not having what you've lost. It's just a pathetic, common flaw. Stop hiding it under the banner of love. If you could just admit that to yourself, you might at least leave with some dignity. Vivian, let's go. I took Vivian's hand and led her away from the track, leaving Chloe standing there, stunned by my words. Walking out of Northwood, I felt incredibly light. I should have said all that a long time ago. Vivian took my hand and looked at it. Your hand is all red from clenching it. I looked at her suddenly concerned face and felt a little embarrassed. I haven't said yes to you yet. Vivian leaned in close, her beautiful face beaming. She suddenly hugged me, her voice coming from my chest, filled with anticipation. I told you I can wait. Leo, you have to keep your word. From now on, Chloe can no longer have a place in your heart, and I'll be waiting for the day I can. On that late autumn day, the street was lined with sweet osmanthus trees, their blossoms in full bloom. The ground was covered in a carpet of golden flowers. As the autumn wind blew, the fragrant petals danced through the air, dotting the hair and shoulders of the two people embracing. Vivian's story. Vivian never thought she would see Leo Davis again, the boy she had hidden deep in her heart, at a school event abroad. She seized the opportunity to finally get to know him, to become his friend. The first time Vivian saw Leo was in her senior year, at the Northwood High School sports meet. She looked at the name on her list, Leo Davis. A strong, distinctive name. She had seen that name on the school's honor roll, on the list of top-ranking students. He had always held the #1 spot in the freshman class. Then she saw him for the first time at the sports meet. He had a bright smile, handsome features, and a clean school uniform. The sun shone on his face, making him look like a little sun himself. Vivian didn't know why, but the softest part of her heart was touched. From then on, she paid special attention to Leo. But he only had eyes for Chloe. She heard from her classmates that he was the new king of the school, and he and Chloe were childhood sweethearts who had gotten into Northwood together, though Chloe was always second best. Chloe also had a little brother, Ethan, who was at the bottom of his class, barely scraping by to get into Northwood. She heard Chloe was living with Ethan's family, which was why she treated him like a brother. She watched Leo revolve around Chloe, watched him get upset with her because of Ethan, but she never dared to get close to him. Vivian had received her acceptance letter from a university abroad early on, but she decided to take the college entrance exams anyway. On the last day of the exams, she gathered the courage to confess to him. But in the school hallway, she overheard Leo confessing to Chloe, and Chloe accepting. She watched as Chloe took a happy Leo's hand and walked out of the school building. That day, she buried Leo in the deepest part of her heart. But fate was kind to her. It let her meet Leo again and gave her the chance to stand by his side. When she met Leo abroad, Vivian could see that beneath his smiling exterior, he was in pain. It was his vulnerable side. But that was okay. She was willing to wait for him to lick his wounds, to be there for him as he healed himself. Chloe's story. Chloe never thought she would completely lose Leo. Growing up, she was used to him revolving around her, always chattering by her side. So she took it for granted that he couldn't live without her. Even after he disappeared for 6 years, I always thought that if I could just find him, coax him a little, apologize, Leo would come back to me just like before. But I was wrong. So wrong. Back then, I was tired of Leo constantly getting upset with me over Ethan. I really did just see Ethan as a little brother, but I also knew we had crossed a line. I don't know what came over me that day at the class reunion. We were playing a game, and with everyone cheering us on and Ethan's face flushed red, I kissed him on a whim. Afterward, I told myself it was just to save him from embarrassment. I despicably refused to admit I was wrong, letting everyone misunderstand Leo, letting them think he was the one who abandoned me. Over time, I started to believe it myself. Breaking up with him was, admittedly, something I said in a fit of anger. I was angry that Leo wouldn't let go of the kiss, and in a dark corner of my mind, I was afraid to admit my mistake, so I chose to run away. When I came back, I regretted it. I thought Leo would still be there waiting for me, but I never imagined he would actually be gone, having cut all ties and disappeared. For 6 years, I flew abroad countless times, but I could never find any news of him. When I heard he was back, I was ecstatic. But Leo wouldn't forgive me. I begged him humbly, hoping he would give me another chance. It wasn't until that woman appeared that I suddenly panicked. I realized that Leo was truly slipping away from me, and his words finally woke me up. I was filled with regret and pain, but it was too late to win him back. I accidentally discovered that Ethan had been provoking Leo 6 years ago, deliberately driving a wedge between us. I also learned that all those accidents he had during our dates weren't coincidences, they were his schemes. When I realized all of this, I was disgusted by Ethan's manipulations. I distanced myself from him and I hated him. Leo left again, returning abroad with that woman. This time, there was nothing left to tie him to this city. He had no family here, the apartment was sold. He left without a trace, without a single look back. A year later, I heard from someone that Leo was getting married. I couldn't resist going to see for myself. From a distance, I saw Leo smiling so happily. He looked so happy marrying that woman. A few years later, I saw a photo on someone's social feed. It was Leo and that woman. She was holding a chubby little boy with Leo's eyes, and Leo had his arm around her, smiling. The three of them were strolling down a street in a foreign country, the blue sea behind them. My eyes suddenly welled up, and tears streamed down my face before I even realized it. I covered my face and sobbed.